Okay, so part two of the Kutna Hora story. Okay, so we slept. Actually, we slept really, really terribly. Allison and I kept waking up in the middle of the night, just like laughing because of the situation we were in. It was like the three girls in the bed, and then Jared slept on the floor. But um, we had two. It was basically like two twin beds pushed together, um, and Jared, because he slept on the floor, he was like, well, okay, I get one of the blankets, because there were two blankets and two pillows. And he was like, I get a blanket and a pillow. And we are like, all right, fine, whatever. So we were all sharing one blanket, and Karen had the pillow, because she was sick, I guess. So Allison and I, like, couldn't really sleep without a pillow, but it was, like, kind of okay. But within the first 10 minutes of falling asleep, Karen was like this tiny little girl just stole the entire blanket and was like completely wrapped around in it. And like throughout the night, I was just like so angry. I was like, I hate Karen. I hate that she's doing this to us. I like don't even care anymore. Um, and then it was like I like woke up at one point just because I was like so exhausted of like lying in bed and not being able to sleep. I like got up and checked my phone, and it was only like 1 in the morning. And I got back in the bed, and Allison was like, oh, what time is it? And I was like, it's 1. And she like started like crying slash laughing. So we were both like laughing so hard. And then Karen was like moaning on the other side of us, and Jared was like yelling at us to shut up from like the floor next to me. And he was like trying to hit me. It was like the worst sleep ever. But so I just like as soon as we woke up in the morning, it was just like yelling at Karen. I was like, Karen, you were such a jerk. She was like, sorry. And she's like, I didn't mean to steal it all. I gave you some. And Allison was like, yeah, I got my foot in at one point. It was really good. It was like awful, but whatever. So so we got up and we had a continental breakfast, which was awesome because we actually had never had breakfast here yet, because I guess breakfast just like doesn't exist. So we had like a really huge breakfast and like went trekking back out into the like semi rain. So we were wandering around, and we decided to go to this one church that looked really really good. That like we had seen signs for. So we went there and it was closed, and we were like, oh my god, seriously, like this is gonna be closed. So it's a church. It's on Sunday. It should be open. Those are like the things that should be open on Sundays, but whatever. So from that church, we actually saw. There was like kind of a lookout point, and throughout Kutna Hora, there's like a bunch of like permanent maps that are built into the ground. So we were like looking at the map, and we saw this really really beautiful thing that we thought was a castle, but it actually ended up being a cathedral. So we were like, oh, we really need to go there. So we were like going towards it, and Jared had to pee. So like the girls were walking, and Allison was really like grumpy again, of course. And Karen and I were like walking a little bit further, but Karen was like really really sick at this point. So uh, Karen and I went a little bit further, and Allison like stayed in another corner and was like, well, we should wait for him before we go any further. And I was like, he's gonna be able to find us. Like, it's not a big problem. We're going to the same place. And he's usually like the navigator, so whatever. Let's just go. And Allison was like really grumpy. And then Jared called us and was like, "Hey, I'm at the castle." And we're like, "What?" And he just like came back to get us. And we were walking towards where he went. And Allison was just so angry at this point. So she was like yelling at Jared. She's like, when you say you're gonna go to the bathroom, go to the bathroom. Don't go to the castle without us. And he was like, well, I thought you guys would go ahead. But so it was like we were all like really tense and just really angry at that point. Um, so we all went to this place, and I was trying to stay chipper, like, because I was like, whatever, this is a really beautiful place. If we wander around, it's still gonna be great. So whatever. And Jared was kind of the same way, but Karen and Allison were not at all. So we were like walking around, and there was like a fork in the road. And there was like a really cool statue, and one way went up, and the castle was like up a little bit, but it didn't look like it was going there. And then the other path was like going down and like up again. So we're like, okay, we should go this way. So we went down. It was a really beautiful path. It was just like it was like a little footpath, and it was all just stone, like a stone path. It was really like really beautiful, and there was someone like walking her dog and her baby on the same road. So we were walking, and then it kind of started looking like we were walking around the cathedral, like the walls of the cathedral, and we are like, ugh, like if we keep walking, we'll like go to the front of it. So we ended up walking the entire way around the cathedral, and it was like up this really steep hill that was all like soaking wet rocks, and that it actually led into a little stream, which was really pretty too. I took a picture of that, but it didn't come out very well, of course. But so Alice was just so angry, and Jared and I kept stopping to like take pictures and be like, "Wow, this is really really amazing." Because we were like kind of in a forest. Um, so we were walking around the castle or the cathedral, and eventually we like got around to the front, and so we went in, and it was amazing. It's St. Barbara Cathedral, so if you want to look it up, it's really really cool. So we went in there, took some pictures, like looked at all of the things. Um, and then left and kept walking around, and it turned out that the path that went up went like straight to the cathedral. It went directly there. So Allison and Karen started like laugh crying again. They were just so exhausted and so frustrated. So from there we went to um, I think we just went straight to the ossuary from there. So we were walking for a really long time, trying to find like a taxi or a bus or something, because we were again like 45 minutes away. So we were like, oh, we just need to call a taxi because Karen's sick. We don't want her to be more sick from walking in the rain. Um, but we couldn't find anything. So we were like wandering around trying to find taxis like anywhere, and there was nothing. Oh, we stopped in a museum, but like we didn't actually go in. We just stopped there to see if we could get a number for a taxi. They didn't actually. The taxi business never actually answered their phones. So we ended up just walking there. And going into a couple shops. There was one really cool artsy shop that had a bunch of ceramic things, but I didn't want to buy any of them because I knew they would break before I got back to Brno. So we finally got to the ossuary, and it was like kind of terrible timing because it was a little after noon, which means that like the tourists were everywhere, and it just so happened that the tour buses that day were like both American, and they were just like really really obnoxious, like kind of ignorant middle-aged American like couples, and they like just didn't care at all to like try and learn Czech. They were just like they just assumed that everyone knew English, and like they like didn't try at all. They were just like really arrogant, and it was really really frustrating. So I was like talking to after we went to the ossuary, we went to like a little souvenir shop, um, and I was like speaking to the shopkeeper in Czech, but he was just talking to me in English because he like thought I was with the other ones, and I was like, oh, this sucks. Um, so, but in the ossuary, so we went to the ossuary, and the outside of it is all like a huge, really really elaborate graveyard. So there's some like beautiful tombs and things there, and then you go inside, and I thought it would be like underground kind of hallways and stuff full of like bone decorations. But what it really is one giant room with like a couple little sides like filled with bone things. So you walk in and you're upstairs, and there's like a ticket booth, and then the stairs going down, and there are a couple like rows of skulls, and then there's like on top of like so the stairs go down here, and then there's like an archway sort of thing that you pass, and there's like a big crest made of bones, which is really cool. So you go through there, and down the stairs in the center of the room there's a big chandelier made of like different skeletons, and so there's like chandelier and then four big posts that are made of mostly skulls, and then on top they're like maybe like plaster angels that are on top of it, and then right underneath the uh, right underneath the chandelier there's like a big concrete or maybe stone um, like just floor piece. And under that is a huge tomb of, I think it's like 4 just really, really rich, like royalty type people. So, of course, you like can't see that; they're like sealed in the ground. But so you can like stand on their tomb, which is a little crazy. So I have a bunch of pictures of that actually, of my friends and I standing underneath the chandelier. So then you have that, and then behind that there's a uh, shrine, like a shrine sort of deal, with a big statue of Jesus, and people actually throw coins like all throughout. So like there are a bunch of coins on the floor there. um, and then oh, you can also light a candle for whoever. So I actually lit a candle just because I felt like I should light a candle. It was like a thing that you should do there. So I did that. And then on the sides, there are like these huge, huge stacks of bones. Like, I can't even describe. Like, it just looks like a huge mountain. Like, it's maybe 10 or 12 feet tall of like femurs. And then you can, like, in the middle of it, there's like a little, I don't know what to call it, but like kind of like a little hallway of bones. So you can like look through this hole and you can see how deep this like giant stack is, and it's like enormous. So there are 4, no, oh, there are 4 of those, but there are 6 places to look in. So it's like there's the 2 back places next to the Jesus statue, and then on the other side there are 2 more, and then you can see those from the other side too. And then people also throw a bunch of coins there, so you see like skulls with like crowns in their mouth, and it's crazy. But there's also this huge like, it's another like kind of crest looking thing that's just enormous, and it's just made of like um, the top is made of a lot of like uh, what's it called, vertebrae, and there's one part with like a skeleton who has like a hat of like feathers, but they're actually made of like rib cage, and then his like body is made of a pelvis. It's like the craziest thing, but it's really really cool. So the ossuary is amazing. It's really really awesome. But unfortunately, there were so many tourists there that I felt like I could have gotten more of the experience if they weren't there. Um, Anyway, so we left there and we went to another cathedral, and after seeing St. Barbara, it was like it like couldn't compare to St. Barbara, but it was still really neat. Like it was newly reconstructed, newly as in like within the past 100 years, um, and so a lot of like the touristy part was seeing what it was like before it was reconstructed. So there was like a part of the floor that they took out like the new floor boarding, and you could see like the foundations of it, and also there were like a bunch of skulls that were like built into the walls, I guess. So they had like part of the wall taken out so you could see like some skulls. And then you could also, like, if you kind of wandered around too much, you could go upstairs, and then if you went like a little bit further, you could actually go onto like the old roof before they expanded it. So you were like walking on these floorboards on the old roof. It was super super creepy because there was like barely any lighting, and I definitely didn't think we were supposed to be there, but it like ended up being allowed. But that was really cool. I have pictures of that too. Um, but yeah, so it was really good. And then after that, we went across the street, got some lunch, and then left. So we went back, got on a train, and got back here really, really exhausted, but it was good. So that was my Kutna Hora trip.